Good to see some new faces. Because you were not here with us earlier, we want to tell you there were these two fantastic sessions. They were the best sessions of this entire summit that you missed. It was like, I couldn't believe they were happening. Yeah? People who were in the room would agree with me, right? They were absolutely the very best. Try and catch up. We've become like really advanced learners now. So try and catch up. And if you are falling behind, you can just raise your hand and say, please repeat. So that's that. So I wouldn't hold you on any longer. We got Priya here. She's the moderator. And so I would request her to A, introduce herself, and then B, introduce her panelists, because I don't have your write-up. Get started, and maybe towards the end, I'll do your introduction then.
Thank you. I think he set the afternoon tone right, because he said that the two most interesting sessions happened in this very room, and I can personally vouch for it, because he started off, and then we had an amazing set of, not a laughing matter really, because I think he kind of touched on the right points and set the context for the rest of the couple of days that we're going to be talking about AI. Sometimes I really wondered, is there really this much to talk about AI? And sitting through the first half, you realize how many little deeper holes you can kind of get into in the second session, where Manju, right, was also a part of it. So it was really, really very, very intriguing just to listen to it, and there were a lot of tips. I'm going to shift the gear slightly for the afternoon, but before we delve a little into it, very happy to invite three of the panelists who are going to be here. You also see that there are how many seats? Good in counting. Yeah, I just wanted to do a quick check and see if all of us were a little awake after the yummy Rajasthani food that we were treated to. I have Miss Lata Rawat, please. She's a mentor and director at the Cambridge Court Group of Schools, and she had very interesting tidbits, like what Anna was saying, that he did see what each of us had written in the different tracks that we're going to be a part of in the next 2 days. So something that she said is, I think, very significant. It hasn't come up for discussion, but I think it will be one of the most important discussions, and it's something that we are all going to be thinking about, perhaps behind our minds. With me is also Praveen Raju, who's the founder of Suchitra Academy. Thank you, Praveen. Again, somebody who had very interesting quips when he had put it into the common sheet that we shared. So, and I did go back and read a little about the schools. Very interesting to see the kind of work that is happening over there. And last but not the least, we have Kunal Bhadoo, who's part of the Kunskapsskolan, and he's the director there. I hope I didn't get that tongue twister wrong. Skolan. And I think today a lot of us talk about the Scandinavian education, and then bringing in the Swedish flavor here into the Indian context, where you're talking about countries that are way advancing in the use of technology, and here we see the divide that exists in the society. So these are like going to be quite interesting topics. Specifically, this panel discussion is going to be in the format of a fish bowl, which means you see two empty chairs out there, and it'll be nice to have different volunteers occupying the chair when we are having this discussion, but if I don't see a volunteer raising their hand or standing up or walking to that chair, I can come up with some parameters by which I get to choose who I want over here. Of course. Yeah, so that we just ensure that we have this discussion, but we are also involving the rest of us over here, that there's a takeaway. This session is predominantly on AI in schools. So when we look at the schools, we are looking at a very large setup, a large setup in the sense that it is a very complex ecosystem. Each of us operate in a particular context, in a particular cultural reference. The kind of community that we have is probably different. The vision that we set out to do, the mission that we have, a whole lot of those things come into play. Then I also see that many of us here are school leaders, which means you're not just looking at what is the strategy that I take into the classroom to ensure that the dictation is corrected at the end of the day and given, or end of that class and given, but we are looking at policies, we are looking at equity, we are looking at what is the impact that is happening across the different grades. In my school specifically, when I look at it, we do a lot of CAS projects with our custodial staff and our sub-staff, and sometimes we see that the digital divide is there. The children come back and see. So this is a thought. I don't know whether I'm taking any big action based on it, but it is a thought behind in my mind as well. So I'm looking at steering the conversation towards these macro aspects and then pulling out a bit of the micro aspects. We'll have 3 quick sections within this afternoon, each one starkly different, trying to make it as interesting as possible over here. So I'd like to probably start with Kunal Bhadoo. Okay, I think being again, having brought the Swedish curriculum over here in the context that I was saying, in what ways have you been able to integrate AI into the school environment? What are some of the things that you've been able to institutionalize as a school? And something that's like kind of very common that goes across, and it's not very class specifics per se. You could take this.
So, yeah, I'd just like to clarify that number one, I think what we're doing happens to originate from Sweden rather than, I would not sort of call it like a Swedish curriculum as such. I would just go back to Arnab's slide where he had those pictures of, you know, the wheel and the radio and the TV. One has to understand the broad context that it is the need of personalized education which has set the tone or you know, the quest for this generative AI that we talk about in the, you know, in that's being discussed today. That generative AI is an enabler ultimately for personalized education. Where I say that is that our schools, the basic premise that they were built on, the first school started in Sweden way back in 1999, was on the idea that in a continuously changing disruptive world, the only constant is transferable skills. Those transferable skills are what you need to embed in the curriculum, whatever you are following in your national curriculum, along with, you know, whatever you are teaching. And ultimately, it is taking the child in the center, and you are making an educational program tailored to the needs of the child. So, you know, some of these things that NEP talks about, differential learning, etc., is something that we have been doing over the last 30 years. In India, since the last 10 years, since the first school came up. So you will have a classroom where there are 3 children working on 3 different levels of mathematics in the same class. How AI has sort of, you know, come in and helped us in this journey of personalized learning, I think it's made the jobs of teachers much more simpler by way of that, you know, where, again, if I would say that, you know, where Google generally was, you ask Google something and it just throws you open so many things, ranked according to, you know, however those sites have been optimized or how Google, the search engine, sees that, versus today, if, for example, I have to create differential worksheets for my children, that is something that AI helps me with. If I am talking about personal coaching sessions happening with my children every week, so each child gets 15 minutes of time for, you know, there to catch up with their academic progress, as well as the SEL, the social emotional well-being aspect. So all these things are what AI is now helping the teachers to free up more of their time. Earlier on also, I mean, Arunab and I have been in dialogue ever since, and he also would say that, okay, how are you guys different? And I said, my model is made in such a way that there is ample amount of time available to my teachers by way of how I have a cloud-based learning portal that has all the content that children follow, that has AI built into it. And my teachers have more time up their sleeve to spend one-on-one more with children, because that is what is required. So I also, if we look at assessments or data analysis of results, or areas where children kind of can need more help with, AI is able to help you out in that as well, in terms of analyzing different data sets that exist. So I say that it's an emerging technology. What we have to bear in mind, that it is an enabler. The core thing that is sitting with AI when we talk about schools is the need for personalized education, is the quest for personalized education, because as every parent would have it, your child is unique, they have their unique strengths, they have your unique this thing. Today no one wants to have their child packaged in a box. Gone are the times that you want to send your child to a school which is kind of more like a club, or let's say that a mold, that you say that you put your child in that mold and they will come out successful. I think the preference of large number of parents has changed. They say that my child is a hero with their unique strengths. I want them to build on those unique strengths and be successful in whatever they do in life.
Thank you. I think very succinctly put in terms of setting that context and all that. But just as an extension to it, perhaps to you, Praveen, is about, he touched a bit on the data analytics and the data privacy as well. So what would you see that as a good step forward, or do you think there is actually an issue in terms of the data privacy? Are we reading and are we forecasting a little too early, and hence we are making robots out of these little humans that we receive in our schools?
Thank you, Priya. Interesting. I think the biggest concern for all governments around the world has been data privacy, and whatever we're giving, what is going to happen to our data. Experts have told, I've heard from several experts actually, that don't give your email ID, don't give your details to Gen AI. It's not that it can be harmful, but even I don't know whether it can be, can come back to you. So in fact, they were suggesting that, it's a good idea to be anonymous as much as possible. But then the real value does not come in by being anonymous. The value comes when you're giving your information, because it's also learning. It's a machine learning tool. Is it better? Yeah, okay. So that's now very soon you're going to start having models. Apple is supposed to be getting AI into your phone. That's Apple Intelligence into your phone, where all your data is going to reside inside your phone. How these large language models also work is that there's 7 billion, 20 billion, 30 billion, 100 billion, there's set of instructions or data parameters that this AI tools go out, train, and then come back. And after that, they can sit in your private protected domain. In fact, we are just piloting as we speak an AI chatbot which is working quite well with all our policies. You can actually go and query the AI, and then it'll give you back results on our own data. It works on the same model. It gets trained outside and then comes and resides inside. So we're not very far from addressing in a school environment that it can be quite protected. So this is one part of the learning part. But there's more critical information that is specific to students, individuals, parents, their data, their pictures. A lot of this stuff is also lying with us. So the question comes when can we use that data to get queries, answers, and give recommendations or around that. So that is where we need to be quite careful about. So most of the data that things that we have been talking about is all about learning. But there's a whole subset which is non-learning, can also be, AI can be significantly beneficial to use in the non-academic space as well.
Great. Thank you for that. We have another little brewing topic out there. But between the two, something that kind of keeps coming back is like we've given admission to the AI into our schools. If we have not yet done, then we've been left far behind. So we have to truly admit them. They are into their classrooms, they are into the back office, they are into every aspect of how schools operate. But with this personalized learning that we are looking at, with this customization, with data privacy and a whole lot of other things that are there, what do you think is something that we are perhaps missing out, or that we have to focus as school leaders to kind of be balanced about, more in terms of not just the learning needs, but as when we look at it, I think he had a beautiful thing over there, what's happening to the humans. So could you kind of touch on that, Ms. Lata?
Thank you, Priya. See, AI is like electricity. It is here to stay. It's going to enter every sphere of our life. It's going to touch every profession. You can't run away from it. And if you believe experts, there are going to be 3 waves. This is just the first wave. Now it depends upon us whether we want our children to ride on this wave or get drowned by it. So of course, we are going to make our children ride on it, because when AI is here, I know our children, the future employment is completely going to be based on AI. So if we really want our children to be in demand, not only in our country, but all over the world, then we have to allow AI to enter into our domain. How do you do it? Of course, awareness campaign. Corona has clearly taught us, polio has taught us that with awareness campaign going around, we were able to overcome it. So what type of awareness campaign am I talking about? There should be sessions like this, the way we have it here. Thanks to ScooNews and Ravi for arranging this, where the parents come, the students come, the teachers come. We discuss over it, we debate over it. We understand what is AI, how it's going to impact our life, how it is useful for our profession. That is one of the way of doing it. And what happens with children, whatever you say, do this, it doesn't work with them. They have to understand, they have to discuss, they have to debate, they have to research. And after that, whatever they come to the conclusion, analysis, that remains with them throughout their lifetime, then they will automatically make the right choices. So if you know what AI is, the way we knew about Corona, if you know every aspect of AI, then of course, by default, they'll be judicious in the use of AI. Now I'll tell you what about the first thing what we're going to do is, of course, EQ has to be part of our AI, because AI so far has entered only 15 to 20% in our life. Now only with 15 to 20% we can see its impact very clearly. So when what is going to happen the moment AI enters into our life, 40 to 60% is something we have to understand. So what do you understand by EQ in school? EQ, I mean leadership qualities, problem solving skills, critical thinking, analytical thinking, positive thinking also is one of it, consistency, hard work, dedication, focus. This is all part of EQ. If these things we are going to take care in the school itself, then of course they're going to ride on it, because AI has just touched EQ so far, and it will take at least 15 to 20 years for it to take over the EQ part of the human intellect completely. So we have that much of time. By the time they're able to cross that, they talk about superhumans and super robots. That's its secondary issue. For this, we have started this EQ. I mean, since last 8 years, we are following it from class LKG to class 12th. Let me tell you, it is very, very effective. So what we can do is we can collaborate with people, like we have collaborated with SkillEasy, which takes care of the EQ part in our system. The entire culture of the school environment is completely based on this. Second, we could have discussions with children, like I just discussed with my children a few days back, that, when you look at iPad, Mac, whatever it is, there's a hardware, there's a software, there are apps, and then you need electricity too, and then you need AI after that. I tell them, look at your body. This is what is a hardware, supercomputer. This is the hardware, there's a software which runs the show, there are different apps in it, thousands of apps which works together, and you don't need electricity, doesn't get discharged after every few hours. So what is that energy which runs the show? What is that supreme intelligence which runs the show? I think we need to discuss about it. And children, we don't have to give answers to our children. This is the inquiry-based learning. They have to find out, and once they understand the working of this whole body, you understand the working of the nature, nothing happens all of a sudden. If there is a night, there's an evening, and then it is night. So nothing happens in a jiffy. If you see the working, there are many things that the children have to learn the art of observation. If they are very observant, they're going to learn so many things from nature and from the universe. And once you know about this, you can compare this AI with the supreme intelligence. And once you compare it, you know where AI stands and you know where supreme intelligence stands. You'll be very judicious in deciding without your parents telling you what is right and what is wrong. Second, we could be like, can I continue for 2 minutes more? Okay. Please, please. LKG to class 12th. Let me tell you, it is very, very effective. So what we can do is we can collaborate with people, like we have collaborated with SkillEasy, which takes care of the EQ part in our system. The entire culture of the school environment is completely based on this. Second, we could have discussions with children, like I just discussed with my children a few days back, that, when you look at iPad, Mac, whatever it is, there's a hardware, there's a software, there are apps, and then you need electricity too, and then you need AI after that. I tell them, look at your body. This is what is a hardware, supercomputer. This is the hardware, there's a software which runs the show, there are different apps in it, thousands of apps which works together, and you don't need electricity, doesn't get discharged after every few hours. So what is that energy which runs the show? What is that supreme intelligence which runs the show? I think we need to discuss about it. And children, we don't have to give answers to our children. This is the inquiry-based learning. They have to find out, and once they understand the working of this whole body, you understand the working of the nature, nothing happens all of a sudden. If there is a night, there's an evening, and then it is night. So nothing happens in a jiffy. If you see the working, there are many things that the children have to learn the art of observation. If they are very observant, they're going to learn so many things from nature and from the universe. And once you know about this, you can compare this AI with the supreme intelligence. And once you compare it, you know where AI stands and you know where supreme intelligence stands. You'll be very judicious in deciding without your parents telling you what is right and what is wrong. Second, we could be like, can I continue for 2 minutes more? Okay. Please, please. Children have to learn that everything is not in your hands, always. There are certain things you'll have to accept which will never remain in your hands. That is what they have to learn. How to solve the problems of your life. They should know how to solve the problems of their life. Because after this AI coming into the picture, there's going to be a lot of anxieties for them. And why is it that we always need a Bill Gates to come and tell us that I don't allow my children to touch the gadgets till the age of 14, and then that's an alarm bell for us? I think we need to understand, and we cannot allow wisdom to be out of the society and of the children also. Let us work together to make them aware through different ways so that we are strong to face it and we take advantage of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think we've really set the context on 3 different things over here. A lot to chew on, but who is going to be the mystery person taking the seat here? Okay, count of 10, somebody volunteers, otherwise our number is going to pick up. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Arnab, your choice. That's your seat. So just to bring a... Perfect. Thank you so much for being that risk taker, right? To just walking in and then realizing that I'm sitting in the spotlight. But we've been talking about AI in schools, and we were looking more in terms of the school culture and the environment and what it does. So as a school leader, right, who's bringing in AI and making that migration into that, how can you ensure that these AI tools are used effectively and equitably across the different classrooms?
So hi, I'm Antra.
Thank you for that.
I've just moved to Jaipur, just learning my way through the city, and part of an upcoming school, the college school, and I'm the PYP coordinator there. So since it's a new school, we are also playing around with technology. Just got ourselves with Toddle, planning to get into the AI part of Toddle. So I don't think I'm the right person right now to answer about AI in the school, because the school itself is still coming up.
In your previous experience,
In my
perhaps?
previous experiences, I don't think so. AI was back then.
Who could? Yes, please. That's why I kept the other seat vacant as well. So welcome.
Hoke. I'm the owner of Sunbeam World School and Dalam Sunbeam. So we have schools in the entire eastern UP, and I take care of all the international schools. So we have almost schools, like I said before, in 32 different countries, and I'm more active in UAE side. So ma'am, can you please repeat your question so I can answer it one by one?
Okay, so it's more that when we are integrating AI and aligning the entire school into something, because you're talking largely about the school and the context of the school, how would you as a school leader use effectively and equitably ensure that the AI tools are there in all of the classrooms?
Well, I chose because this question was maybe made for me. One of my school is completely AI based. Right, so the entire school is based on AI, whether it is the assessment part, whether it is the education part. We have inclusive education as well. Right, so AI, because we are stepping into future, right? There are so many teaching techniques and methods that we've been using from generation to generation. But I guess this generation is going to go to the next generation and pass it on to the future. So if we do not use tools like AI, for example, it is already in our life. I have a mini robot. It is called Beta Rabbit. I use it in my everyday life. So I just hold on to it and say, Beta Rabbit, XYZ, give me something, or add on and something to my Excel or something. It works for me. And it mails it to me directly.
So how do you bring about an equity in your school setting?
Yes.
It's a AI school, so your approach is different. But if you were to probably extend it to a couple of other
physical
schools.
school also, ma'am, it is very important, especially because we have to teach our students skills based on AI, so that it can help them out on everyday basis. Like ma'am also said, it needs to help them out, whether it is the decision making, whether it is, there's no way, there's no escape from it. Whether you teach it in school or whether you're not, they're anyway going to learn it.
Great, thank you.
Right.
I'm going to get the next round, starting off with a volunteer here. We'll just hold on to your thought for a little bit. I'm going to ask you to raise your hand if you're a male. And continue to keep it raised if you're a father, you have a child. Great. So I'm going to pick my favorite row number, so row number 2. And may I request you to be the person here? You are right in the line of my vision. So,
I'll try.
so I mean, we're all listening a lot about AI, right? But I want you to wear the hat of a parent.
Thank you.
And how do you think a school should or can address parental concerns? What are those 1 or 2 concerns that probably come to you? And I didn't pick a woman, I didn't pick a mother, because I guess our perspectives are quite well known to everybody. I wanted a dad's perspective here. So
Thank you so much for asking that. I think as a parent...
I also wanted to know whether my husband would be thinking of the same.
Okay. All right, I'll treat with caution then. But I think as a parent, this is a constant conversation that we have in the house as well, is that, okay, how much to expose to your children about technology, screen time, all of that is sort of a subset of it, right? But when it comes to technology and AI, it's about giving them clarity of purpose. What is it for? What is it for? What is it not for? And my daughter is 8, my son is 5, so still early years for us in our house. But at the same time, the way our children are growing up with the level of technology that they're exposed on day zero versus what people in the room were when we were growing up is very different. So I think, like someone said, it's not going anywhere. So it's better to help them evolve around it, teach them about how to leverage it better in their household. And I think schools play a very critical role in helping our students and our kids learn better about how you can make your lives easy and more productive. I think for me, if I was to talk to the teachers at my kids' school, that's what I would request, that how can they not be focused on knowing facts and figures, but how can they leverage technology like AI to be better in interpreting things better? How can they sort through this vast amount of information more efficiently and make their lives better?
I think bang on. I would have liked that response from my husband, so that's a good test for me, maybe over the weekend. But if I can just replace the word that he had used, making life easy and more productive, with the word learning. I think it's about making learning easy, not in terms of like I understood the concept, I didn't understand, but kind of make it more relevant and make it more productive, because it is about the application of it. So thank you so much for that response. I want to quickly go into the next little subsection over here, which is more a candid response to some questions, but this we are going to keep it really really rapid, not something that's really huge. So can I have 2 volunteers? It's going to be fun. Before we move to the section, please. And one more, yes, thank you. I like, no, two of you, please. And perhaps we could start with them. Okay, great. Very quickly, right, under 30-second answer. What is the biggest misconception about AI in education that you have encountered?
That it can do maths.
Okay. What about you?
I think the danger that the teachers are going to be out of the jobs. So I think that's one misconception everybody has about AI.
I think bang on, right? I mean, I left the teachers deliberately because I said we have spoken quite a bit in the previous session, so kind of moderated. Would any of you like to add a response to that? What is the biggest misconception about AI in education that you have encountered? What have you heard is the biggest misconception? Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the answer. Okay, we now go on to another question for you, Praveen. What's a concern about AI that you think is not getting enough attention?
Concern
about AI that's not getting enough attention.
I think it's very much what we discussed earlier. It's about privacy and concerns about data and what things can happen. And there's also another concern that can it make people more dumber, or people who are everything AI can do, why you don't need to think. But if you see with the advent of technology, since our fathers, ourselves, and our children and their children, the progress has been, intelligence levels have gone up, not down. I'm sure with calculator also we had a similar thing. Yes. So that is also a misconception that I feel that they're going to be super intelligent. Children will be, yeah.
Yes, and
creativity. Yes. That's going to diminish the creativity. Yes. Yeah.
You.
When you're not like the misconception is children are not writing on their own, so they're not creating on their own. So of course the misconception.
Something, Kunal, to this. To the same thing about what is not getting enough attention.
what's not getting enough attention, what can I say? Perhaps I think more than data privacy or these things, it is generally the training around AI. So while AI has been around, I think the time that the first Chat GPT version was introduced, it's an open question to the audience out here. How many of you who are running schools or associated with schools, how many of you have actually thought about or instituted workshops for your teachers or for your children for that matter to know of this imminent thing which is there? How many of you actually have started to think about formulating policies about ChatGPT? I think that's a more conversation to have, because AI, it's like water. You try to block it, it will find its way. So as ma'am rightly said, that it is here to adopt. We should not forget the point that the advent of AI is not by accident. It is for a need, and that need, as I said, in schools is for personalized learning. Now, knowing that, we need to just generally address that this is here. What are the things around it? Let's grab the bull by the horns and channelize it in the right direction.
I think that's it. Very, very well said about how we should take it. Please.
You'll be shocked. I had a discussion with my class 9 to 12 students, and they're well aware of AI and everything. At least what's that they feel. I asked them, did you watch this movie, this documentary which is in Netflix, The Social Dilemma? They were not aware of it. There was only one hand up. It is where the techies talk about what social networking platform was made, how it was made, what was the reason behind it. After that, what did they feel, the after effects of that, and what are the things that were used to, make it more enticing. How is it that the personalized experience is given to them? If you're not aware of what it is all about and where all it is used, and they don't listen to the techies talking about it. I asked them, did you watch this movie, Her, or the Ex Machina? They've not seen it. How do they know the application of AI if they don't see?
I think again that's something, right, which is not getting enough attention, is the socio-emotional and the psychological needs. Great. The last question on this is going to be for all of you. We'll probably start off from that end. What is one thing you want AI developers to focus in education? What is the one thing you want AI developers to focus in education?
In the morning only, I think I had this discussion with Sonia ma'am, so I will very quickly rephrase that. See, we are ultimately a pen and paper nation. So we also need to see how we can grade assessments which are not online. If we are looking at the 14 lakh number that we spoke about in the morning, making AI accessible to everybody. So I think pen and paper test grading through AI, that's something I would like to see AI to do. So yeah.
So adding to her point, bridging the gaps, so finding out the gaps with the AI and solving the Bloom 2 Sigma problem from ordinary to extraordinary, that should be the way I should use AI.
Well, I think with everything, I mean, if I rightly, and I'm not a techie, but understanding AI, it's like a large language model where it's got a lot of information underneath it, and then when you give it a prompt, it's sifting through that and generating something. I definitely think that there's an opportunity for developers to create niche resources for educators. So rather than a generic chat GPT which can answer questions about lifestyle or fitness or sports to education, if we have AI which is focused on the available material on education, and additionally those developers to extract information which are from good publications, so the Harvards or credible information is kind of out there, which makes it a more go-to resource for teachers, that you know that I'm likely to get a better otherwise you can still go to a chat GPT and say generate a worksheet for a kindergarten child for so and so.
I think the developers were very smart, because they just asked us to use it, and now they use all the prompts that we put in and keep refining to add on to their own search engines and making it even more refined. But absolutely, I think curating information is something that's really something. Do you want to add on, ma'am?
Yes. I think we need to research more on it. A lot of research has to be done in our country, and we don't depend upon the Western countries only. We do a research on what is going to be, it's here, it's good for everyone, we know that. But then we have to research on what is going to be its psychological impact. Look at the children, what it is happening. Even just 20% of it entering our life, we can see the society changing, we can see the children changing. We need to do research so that we know the psychological impacts of it. We make everybody aware of it so that we can take full advantage of it without having any psychological impact on our children.
Great. Praveen, you can have the last word.
Sure. I think there's been a lot of discussion around what can happen in the classroom, learning, education in itself. But what can be school is when we're running schools, education is one part of it, but you have several other pieces where AI is not being addressed as well as it should be. It can improve your marketing, social media communication. It can improve analysis. You can do your parent feedback analysis. And it can also track over a period of time. Then you could do predictive analysis based on historical information that you capture. And then you can predict actually which child is likely to go down and then work on that. It can improve your reporting itself, of schools. I know a lot of us can do better in terms of managing school administration, but we don't do as much.
I'm going to be chatting with you separately offline.
Sure.
Yeah, I think when we are all talking about if are the teachers' jobs in danger, we do see that it's not probably the teachers, but a whole lot of the support staff and their functions also kind of being embellished if we use and deploy the AI. We'll go on to the last segment, and I think that's going to be quite fun. So I want you all to loosen up a bit, not be too serious. Something that I figured out is that you don't need to know too much about AI and get into the depths of it in the last few weeks that I've been actively engaging and reading about it. So let your imagination run wild. You don't need, this is not a fast finger for you to go and use your little AI in your phones, but we did speak about creativity. I'm just going to throw it open to everybody, not just keep it in this other format. Are you all ready? But I really want all of you to shout out the answers, okay? If you had to design a mascot for the AI in your schools, what would it be? Designing a mascot for AI in your school. How would it look? What would it be? A brain. Okay, wow. An eye. A question mark. An octopus. It can do everything. Lovely. Some answers here from the stage. A finger. Oh, wow. And why is that? A click of a button. Okay. Great. That's nice. Okay. Anybody wants to narrate a funny incident about having used the AI and it's kind of backfired a little bit or put you on the spot or embarrassed you a bit? I have one myself, but I'm going to save it and then share it a little later. Something funny.
Didn't happen with me though, but one of my teacher created all his report cards using AI, ChatGPT. And to his own surprise, when he came and showed the reports, he's like, how come all are same? What am I going to tell the parents when they come for PTC? Because it's standard report across the grade.
Okay.
So yeah, then he realized that you can't fool around. You need to use some brains, some kind of command that you...
Did it and I sent it after I've read it a couple of times. Thanks to this autocorrect, the word miss, M-I-S-S, that I had used changed magically to kiss, K-I-S-S. And I sent it to somebody who's a very publicly known figure. If I say the name, all of you would know. And he said, I'm sure you meant miss. And yeah, so anyway, those are our AI moments, I guess.
I did something funny with AI, not related to education at all. But I took a picture of my palm and I said, can you read the palm? You guys should try it. It's interesting. It's fun.
Okay. That's some homework, an interesting homework for today, right? Okay, so we did speak a little bit. That was to just loosen up, but we still have another 6 minutes to go, and I'd like to kind of use that a little more on this. So we did speak a little bit about the teacher professional development. In that, we did have a touch a bit on the policy and other kinds of things. So what would be your thoughts on teacher professional development in the world of the AI? You want to add on? Sure. We should have actually had another mystery person come in, but she's quite... No, you should say, and we have time.
I think when we talk about, when you earlier asked a question about how do we ensure that we have equity in the physical setup while bringing AI, I think the equity begins from training teachers. So because I feel still in my school, I am sorry to say, but there are many staff members who would still need help in aligning a Word document, in setting up page while printing. So we are talking at a generation of teachers who also who have still not adapted to Microsoft Office. So bringing them to AI is definitely a challenge, I feel there. Another thing is the mindset. So, you know, we say we are a generation who believes that we always work harder. Okay, so sometimes there's a guilt factor that comes in when you use AI. So I know a lot of staff members of mine. So kind of a funny incident. They use ChatGPT for a lot of things, but they would not admit to it. Why? Because then it puts them in a picture that I do not have that creative bent of mind that I could write this by myself. So I think that mindset needs to change. When we are encouraging our children and we are seeing them using it so openly, at the same time, if we need to give that kind of encouragement to everybody in the school setup, not just to students, to teachers, to even our the leadership, that okay, using AI to make work smarter is not a bad thing to do. So I think that's something that I feel personally about AI, that when you said something that could be more enhanced, this, although it's not an app which could AI develop, it's a mindset which needs to develop more.
Great.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So I second with her. So it's rather to be praised, rather to be like, you cannot complain your teachers of using AI. So I think you should appraise them and appreciate them to use it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's also.
That's how we could develop the policies in our schools, mentioning that why not.
So giving credit is like something which should, I think, is a part of writing any content. So.
Thank you very much for being quite participative in this. I really appreciate all of you being over here and going along with the flow, and the two of you who really jumped in and filled up the seats. You as well. Something that I was reading was that what is the AI? And an Oxford philosopher, Nick Bostrom, said any intellect that greatly exceeds the cognitive performance of humans in virtually all domains of interest. And that's AI for you. But you also have the other extreme, Stephen Hawking, who said that he really feared its development and the kind of worst event, he calls it the worst event in the history of human mankind. So I guess we have two very diverse thoughts, and we all exist in between these two extreme thoughts. On that note, thank you, Annie, and thank you, Arnab, for this wonderful opportunity to be here. Thanks to my panelists over here who took the questions and then brought in their perspectives, went along with the flow. I should also thank some of my colleagues whom I've been having conversations with, just to like pick their brains and see what's actually happening in the classroom, since I'm not actively there every day. But most of all, I think I should thank one person to whom I've been having some great conversations. I've been having a lot of exchange, trying to understand, refining things, and that's ChatGPT. So,
So I just have one question, if I may ask. Like, so do you guys think that AI is only after ChatGPT, or it exists prior to ChatGPT?
Prior.
So yeah, so I don't know. So, but so
The marketing, it's the top of the mind recall, right?
It's just more accessible after.
yeah.
Do you have time for? I don't think so. We have only 6 minutes before the next one.
So first of all, I need to apologise that I sort of wafted in this morning, and I've come in briefly to take over while Aranab attends to something. I have just spent my day with 300 young people from Jaipur. The world is in safe hands. I will say this now. I have been blown away by these young people downstairs. And whilst I'm feeling extremely guilty and I'm looking at a pile of certificates and items that should be used for felicitation, I suspect Aranab has perhaps not done that during the day. And the laughs tell me anybody who's been on the co-chairs WhatsApp group are laughing because they know I've been whipping him all the way through and he's just like, I'm off. So if you haven't been felicitated, I'm terribly sorry. I will enable that to happen very soon. I really hope you're enjoying the day. I hope you're coming away with actionable things. Certainly for me, I'm coming away with a newfound respect and admiration for the young people that we have. I have to say this is my first experience with Jaipur students, and they'll give the Delhiwalas a run for their money. They really, really will. So what I would ask is I'm going to ask our speaker here, Mr. Abhishek Gol, would you come and do some felicitation for me so at least I can actually tick some off? So Priya, thank you so much. The man in question. Aranab, did you give any of these out? Would you please go and... Did you felicitate anybody this morning? No. Mr. Praveen Raju. You may know him from, I don't know, you may know him. He's a lovely gentleman, Aranab. And that's for Priya, if you wouldn't mind.
No, I didn't realize that they were in the names of different people. That's Kunal. Yeah, that's Kunal.
Kunal.
If we can do one, like everybody together.
Yes. Oh, have you given her Priya's?
No, it's okay. The certificates are exchanged, but yeah, that's fine.
Right. Okay. I can't. Can you remind me? That's yours. And this is Lata. I had your hat. I knew I had that.
You know, in this case, you at least realize the problem. We have the previous session. Nobody opened anything. Nobody knows what it's about.
Priya, okay. Can you do that for me?
People who were there in the room when we finished with the first session saw me just giving them for convenience. I just gave them like this to say. Would probably, but this is the better way of doing it, right? Just how a lady would do things versus an uncouth man would. Yeah.
So is that another word for firang? That's sort of, you were paired with the what? Oh, co-chair. Oh, I assumed it was... Thank you so much, Priya. No, I've been in all the pictures downstairs, honestly. So we're approaching our last session of the day, and I'm going to have to run back downstairs. And also, we're going to have to give these out to the relevant. They might be for tomorrow. Did you give certificates out today? Tell the truth. So this, for me, it's the only session I'm introducing today, but it's the one session I know what it contains because I had the privilege of Meenal actually running through her session with me yesterday morning. Feels like a lifetime ago. As I said at the beginning, this is the sublime and the ridiculous. He knows loads, I know nothing. And I came away after spending an hour online with Meenal just so pumped up and excited by what I learned. And I hope for all of you here, you're going to learn something from Meenal. She's going to make you think. I'm sure for some of you, you know a lot of what she's saying, but I really am glad you've hung on till the end of the day because this is going to be an absolutely cracking end to it. So Meenal, can I invite you up? And please forgive me as I run downstairs to Youth Fest, but I know it's a super session.
This lady who says she knows nothing got her teaching degree from Cambridge, taught and led schools in the UK, Oxford, and has done tons of work in the world doing education. So
most importantly, with his school, of course.
And Meenal's this one person.